Chair RB, among the huge amounts of work that MASC has taken on over the last year, there are 4 topics which stand out as taking up most of our time and most of our concern. The first is the working conditions of medical academic staff, both in universities and in the NHS, particularly junior doctors. And we've come across some real concerns about junior doctors who are academics working in the NHS, which I'll go into later. We've welcomed the creation of new medical schools and the increase in medical students, and we would wish to support the increase in medical academic staff to support the teaching of those students, because the decline in medical academic staff is something which is of real concern to us, the medical students, and the Medical Schools Council. And we must ensure that our students are properly supported and educated by those doctors who are trained and have the expertise in supporting their education and designing their curriculum. The other topic which has taken up a huge amount of our time is the effect on the academic sector of Brexit. And one of the things that we have been involved in, because we also represent pharmaceutical physicians, is to listen to their concerns, and particularly the concerns of the President, Professor Boyd, on the loss of the European Medicines Agency and the knock-on effect of the supply of medicines and the research that goes with it. We heard from him that the cost of medical licenses is going to increase, the supply of medicines may be at risk, and the same thing, of course, for those of us that are involved in medical devices may happen to them. And hand in hand with the problems of supply is also the issue of research. If we're no longer the centre of Europe as far as medical pharmaceuticals and medical devices, we're going to lose a huge amount of income and support for research in this area, which in turn is going to affect our income to the whole of the UK and the support of that income to the NHS. The other aspect that we have dealt with in Brexit, and I've been personally involved, is the Euratom debate, which you'll probably hear later in the week of. That's another area where Euratom, which is a completely legally separate treaty from the EU, it predated it, the House of Lords has said it's legally separate, it supports research. It supports research in our universities, both medical research and atomic energy research. And of course, we don't produce those isotopes in this country. We don't produce the medical isotopes. We don't produce the uranium, which keeps our power stations going and keeps the lights on and keeps the hospitals supplied. We have relied on the Euratom Treaty to be a safe, compliant nation, and we've relied on the Euratom Treaty for the safe transport of medical isotopes. So not only the research is at risk, but also the supply of those isotopes to our patients. So I'm a part-time nuclear medicine physician. I investigate patients. 700,000 patients in this country are dependent on medical isotopes. 12,000 plus patients are dependent on medical isotopes for the treatment of cancer. And yes, we can buy them, but there's no use buying them because they're mainly produced and processed in Europe if we can't transport them, if they're stuck in lorry parks or stuck in the Channel Tunnel. So the Euratom issue, it also affects the transport of isotopes. And as I've said, the knock-on effects of this particular treaty is on research and supporting research universities, among which is my own university. There's the wider aspect of Brexit. There's no magic money tree, of course. We hear that phrase quoted very often. But research brings money into this country. It's the equivalent of a magic money tree. And all the European research agencies that we pay into, because research in this country is so good, because universities are world leaders both in terms of their education and research, we bring money into this country. We get more in than we pay out. And not only that, jobs are dependent on the research treaties and the research organisations that we pay into and participate in. So our jobs, our NHS and our support are all dependent on and interrelated to these issues. So finally, I wanted to come to the issues of terms and conditions of service. And I'm very grateful for the support of other committees, for Jeeves from the JDC, from Rob from CT, from CC, Harry from the medical students, in terms of the support that they've given us over something which is a really vexing issue. Our junior academic staff, and we've done a survey to support this, have shown to be the poor relations in the NHS. The NHS tends to ignore them. They don't participate in the same clinical governance support. Many haven't got access to mandatory training. Many don't know if they're indemnified. Many don't know if they have the appropriate clinical governance support, support for the guardian system and safe working relationships. And that's something that we need to do something about. And I would like your support in us taking that issue forward. So among all of those issues and among all the workload that we have carried out is the key of, in the NHS and in the universities, take care of our staff, listen to doctors and act on what they say. Finally, I just wanted to pay tribute to the MASC members who've done such unstinting work over the years, and particularly in the last year in supporting me and our Secretariat. I wanted to pick out one particular thing that we are doing well on behalf of the profession, and that's the Women in Academic Medicine group, and thanks to those that are supporting this. We're going to have our next conference in October. These conferences are well attended, supported by female academics. And if you go to those conferences and if you go to the junior academic conferences, what you will see is doctors that are enthusiastic about academic medicine, enthusiastic about teaching. And that's something that we need not just in the university sector and the NHS. There's a huge amount of evidence that says that if you introduce academic work into your daily NHS work, you'll spend more time working productively, you'll have a better working relationship, you'll work longer. It's a very simple concept, and we need to support that. So if we're going to go it alone, coming out of the EU, we need those doctors, we need their enthusiasm, we need their research to keep the NHS functioning. So thanks to the Secretariat for their support over the year, thanks to the members of MASC, I move my report. Thank you.
Thank you very much.